I had mine was a peculiar situation in that my husband was injured with a brain injury and now lives in a care home. So I came to this thinking I absolutely, how could I possibly even find somebody? But that was 8 years ago. It wasn't my only thing. I wanted to learn about me and just try and spend a bit of time on me and work out what I wanted in my world. And that the cherry on the cake would have been the guy. But I just didn't feel I was allowed that. How I had a very happy marriage, so how was I going to get that twice? I wouldn't be allowed that. Who was I to think I would get that? And the 5-day challenge answered all of those questions in that it opened up so many doors as to wanting to find out more about myself, and it gave me the structure to do that. And I have to say, it was all about Katie's questions. So the brilliant questioning technique that she used in the 5-day challenge helped. And I just felt like I had lifted the lid on me, and to leave it there would have been a crime, really. And it has been one of the best investments I've ever made. And I have got my guy.
Did you just fall off your chair? Let me just fall off mine.
Yeah. So
what I love about your story though, Kate, as well, is when we were, it was that progression of the 5-day challenge. You had a very happy marriage, but sadly your husband with the brain injury was in a care facility, and there was all the feelings, the guilt, the how can I possibly move on, because he's not.
How would a guy ever fit in my life? How is that ever going to happen?
How could that ever happen? That was the most, I will never forget what a mountain of a block that was in front of you. It was like you just couldn't see past that.
What type of guy would be open to a relationship where potentially I didn't even know how I wanted to live with the Paul aspect in my life, let alone have a relationship. But I just felt like I was 43 when it happened. Am I really going to go for the rest of my life and never have a relationship? But I couldn't work out how to do it. And of course, what you taught me is that you put it out there, and by putting it out there and asking, it starts to filter down and starts to work.
You did meet somebody, that you thought might have been the one, and turned out wasn't. And then you've gone on to meet somebody. The gifts that the course gave me were to give me a view on, or a wish list, basically, on the type of guy that I thought would be wonderful. And this guy was presenting as ticking a lot of those boxes, but there were some fundamental red flags that were going up. And what was so brilliant about the course was it enabled me to see what was wrong just as much as what could be right for me. And after 4 red flags, I realized that was the end of that. And it could have shattered me, and it could have made me run to the hills and not go on, but it absolutely didn't, because it made me see I was listening to myself. I did do the right thing. I could say stop. I wasn't being swept away, and it didn't put me off dating. And I was already off the app, online dating app, and I left it for about a month and a half, 2 months, and then I went back on again. And I went out with another guy for a coffee about a week later, because I was like, well, I was chatting to him. He was a nice guy. He said if it didn't work out, call. And so I called, and we went out for that. He wasn't the right guy again, but do you know what I mean? It absolutely gave me the confidence to say no, and that's not quite right, but not to be scared of saying no and just accepting. I'll have anything. I'll put up with the rubbish to just have something, which was great. That's powerful. That's powerful. And also what you modeled was in that relationship that then ended, is he was someone that you could practice with. So do you remember you were practicing like speaking your truth, showing up, saying what you wanted, what you didn't want, like, because you
absolutely he was this sounds callous, but he was a stepping stone. I now see he was a stepping stone, and it was absolutely. But I am grateful to him for that. I don't, if I never see him again, it's no problem. It's not that I'm going to be friends with him, but it certainly allowed me to absolutely see much more clearly, actually be very proud with me and go, you're all right, you can do this, don't be scared. It's just, you've just got to hold it back a bit and not give everything on the first go, if you see what I mean. So, and I didn't, and I think that was why it was easier to say, actually, this isn't working, and not be destroyed by that, you know, and feeling needy about that.
And what is it about the guy that you're with now that's like, what do I want to ask? What is it about him that's reflective of the work that we did?
I know exactly what it is. So, and I see it every day, because by my bedside is still the list of what I'm looking for. Yes, it was with a guy, but also for me, like, what am I looking for today? What do I need today? It's calmness, no drama, peace, you know, fun, love, you know, and I look at that list, feeling like I've landed. Do you remember that, when I felt like my whole life I was on this boat that kept getting tossed around, and I wanted to feel I'd landed, and it was just peaceful, hilarious and funny and and exciting and wonderful, but calm. And what I saw with the last guy was a hell of a, actually, even though he presented as very calm, there was a lot of drama going on and a lot of insecurity. This guy is calm, secure. He's secure. That's what I was thinking. You know the two. You know the secure, anxious. He's very much secure. His wife knows. His ex-wife knows about me. I've met the kids. He went out for dinner the other night with the family, with the ex-wife, and they were talking about me and the stuff that's going on with me at the minute. And you know, I'm just going, this is just. Whereas the other guy, if I mentioned the ex-wife's name, a bomb went off. So still a few issues. And do you remember that? That was one of my, the next time I ever dated online, my question was going to be, are you able to civilly talk to your ex-partner? Because if you're not,
that was one of James's questions to me before we went on our first date. It was, what's your relationship like with your ex? Because he did not want to be with someone that had drama with her ex. I had my fair share of drama years before, but I'd reached a place of not, which is another like divine timing thing. You know? Okay, thank you so much for sharing that. That's really awesome. Just such an amazing journey. So Charlie, do you want to share? I'm just going to go around. Do you mind sharing why you began the work and how we met?
So I actually randomly fell upon you on Instagram because I was following, I think it was the Naked Professor.
Ben, yes, it was. Yeah.
And I found you through there, and it just sort of happened in a way because I was at a point in my life where I hadn't had a relationship for years, years since uni. So I don't know, like maybe 8 years at the time or something, just a really long period of time. And I knew it was something that I really wanted, but I was like, there's something going on here that is stopping me from being open to love and receiving love. And I was very much at the beginning of this kind of self-discovery journey, and I knew that I wanted to dive into it more. So the work with you wasn't necessarily to find the guy, like same as Kate, it was like the icing on the cherry on the cake sort of thing. I knew that I wanted that, but actually it was more about the discovery into me and like falling in love with myself first to then be able to be open to receiving it from someone else. And I did end up meeting a guy. I don't know what time frame it was actually when I did.
So it's weird because I remember you telling me it was a few months after I can't work it out though, because it was a few months after, I think. But then I remember you saying you moved in during the pandemic. Was that it? When the pandemic started?
We met the October, November before lockdown.
Yes.
That would have been end of 2019, and then basically decided, oh fuck it, let's just got down together because we both lived in London. We weren't too far apart. We're like, well, it's either going to work out or it's not, so let's just see what happens. I can always go home if I want to, sort of thing. And anyway, it's going to be like 3 years in November, so it's obviously going well.
So good. We
now have 2 dogs together, so it's moving along nicely.
You have 2 dogs, and are you not in the process of buying a house or fixing up a house, or what was that you told me?
So I bought a cottage and we're renovating it together. It's in Whitstable, so Kent Coast little cottage, and we've been doing that together. So it's like mid renovation project at the moment. And I think we lived there together over the summer before the renovation started, and it was all the lockdown stuff was happening. And that'll be finished in March, and then I think we'll probably do another project together. So yeah, it's cool. Like we've got really, like we do different things career-wise, but we have the same sort of ambition with how we want our life to look and be and all that sort of stuff. And he's incredibly kind and loving, and like probably the first person since my first boyfriend at uni when I was 21 that like I've been able to be completely emotionally open with and vulnerable and not worry about crying in front of.
But that was, I remember, I know it was a good sort of 3 years ago since we worked together, if not a little bit more. And I remember that piece of vulnerability for you was terrifying.
Yeah, massively, absolutely terrifying. And and that was a great learning curve with Tom, because he was so patient. And when it was getting to that point of like committing to each other, and I was quite nervous about it because I felt so vulnerable, and he just like sat with my vulnerability and my nerves and just sort of let me go through whatever it is that I needed to go through, and then just hugged me at the end. And it was just like, oh my God, it's so amazing having someone that isn't put off by you being emotional. I think that was my fear, that like this emotion, because I'm quite a deep emotional person, and I always felt like it was a weakness rather than a strength. And that if other people saw me cry, they'd think that I was weak. And for him to
start crying just listening to you, I'm like, yeah.
No. Yeah. And he just, you know, he almost loves that part about me the most, like the fact that I cry at John Lewis adverts and random movies. So now we laugh about it together because it's just part of who I am, and he loves it, and I'm like, oh, this is just great.
That's so amazing. And it's just so awesome that you're sharing that specifically, because honestly, you couldn't make it up. We were talking about this on the live last night in the challenge, about this idea that your guy can hold space for you in your vulnerability, in your even in your practicing showing up in a new way in relationship. Like if you're not used to opening your heart and crying in front of a man, your guy will be able to hold the space for you to practice being that way until it becomes your new normal, as it has done. And that you just beautifully modeled that. So thank you, because seriously, there's women watching this that need to hear that. Because like, can you even remember what it was like when you were single and you didn't believe that it was possible? And
it was a real block for me. And just that whole thing about when women would say, like, the right guy for you, like he'll make an effort, he'll make it known that he wants to be with you, he'll make it known, he'll just, and I was like, well, yeah, I don't know. And it just 100% is that way. Like he made it super clear from the beginning that he wanted us to hang out and date, and actually I was quite clear about the fact that, you know, I was dating other people, because we've met on a dating app, and he was like, go on that date if you want to go on that date, I'm still here. And then in the end, we just, I don't know, I just didn't need to date anyone else. Like, actually, I kind of like you.
Oh, look at her, so giggly. I love how the whole love thing makes us all go a bit gooey and giggly. Now, Sonia, why did you begin working with me? I mean, it's been like, we've done so much together.
We've done so much together. So I don't really remember how, like, I knew you before, right? And at the time, it was 2017 when we first started working together in this program. But at that time, I had been divorced for 10 years. And I wasn't seriously dating. And it wasn't really because I had dedicated, my children were very small when we separated. And it wasn't that I was looking for someone in that moment, but I knew that I was now open to the idea that it's time to start looking at me to prepare for relationship. And it was at that time, vulnerability has always been a challenge for me, and I'm very masculine oriented. The way that I look at life, I'm very logical. I push through, get the job done. And so in doing this work, it was also limiting beliefs that I had. I really believed I had so much success in different aspects of my life, but I already had adopted this thought that like my life is good in so many areas. Probably a long-term relationship, partnership was not in the cards for me. That was a limiting belief I held on. So the very first time that we worked together, I looked at a lot of those, but I took it seriously. That's when I was commuting from work, and I did that. I'll never forget that scrapbook. Oh my God,
Yes,
that was such an incredible creative outlet. And just, I really love that piece of it. And on the heels of it, I think we finished like in the end of March, and 3 weeks later, I met my person, but I wasn't looking for my person. It just was like, vroom. And
that's called magnetism, by the way.
and I just kept, but I was, because I was vibrating at a different level because I had really done a lot of the deeper work. And so anyways, fast forward, and it is amazing. It is absolutely amazing. Like everything you've ever, because for me, I needed someone who was masculine, but yet emotionally intelligent and available from that place. I wanted someone who, I did not want to change who I was. I'm strong, I'm intelligent, I'm capable. And I never wanted to dim down my light for someone else to be comfortable. And that's on the contrary. He loves that aspect about me. I remember my ex-husband telling me, you're too much. And so on the contrary, here I'm being celebrated for being too much. And I think one of the things that we love so much about our relationship is that I think in relationship, this person is always allowing you to, because that's what I've learned in working with you, is just like, the answer is always looking within me. So like as things come in life, we are there to grow each other up. And, as issues come up or whatever, I was like, well, what's coming up in me? And I value our incredible, intense ability to have difficult, hard conversations. And then I went to Sri Lanka with you, and we continued coaching because you've been along with the ride with me the entire time. And just, again, there's always just unlocking that next layer of limiting beliefs and what's this about. Yeah. And the reason why I chose to do it again because we're some complications in our relationship, not between us, but just in life. And I always know the answer is I need to look at me. What is going on? What is still needs to be unearthed? What's the next layer of the onion? What's the next layer of limiting beliefs that I'm not even aware of? And the more that I work on myself, the better life gets. And, our relationship is so amazing, and I'm always astonished by it. And our commitment to each other is that my job is to be the best version of me. His job is to be the best version of him. And that when things come up, we have a silly saying, like exactly that, like, because vulnerability was always hard for me. And that's the invitation that he's always allowed. But we have this concept of like, when things are hard, like we don't always have to have the solution. Let's just put the puzzle pieces on the table, and together we figure it out. So it's been 4 years. Mm-hmm.
What do you think is, did you say it's 4 years?
Yeah, nearly 4 years. April will be 4 years.
So what do you think it has been about? So how do you think your work on your inner work, because that's always been your focus, is the inner work. It continues to be your focus, even in relationship. So what is it about your inner work that's being reflected back to you in this relationship?
I think it goes back to the vulnerability piece, where I've never been, not even in my marriage, and not that I was hiding, I just didn't know myself to this level. There's not a conversation I cannot have with him. There's not a piece of me that I will not show, and even like, let's say as we're facing something, maybe in that moment, I'll be like, this is really hard. And, I can even feel like those, like my throat constricting or my belly rumbling, and I can say that. And it's the desire to take the dip, to be seen, to be truly seen. And then when I'm able to do that, to be fully received, held, and supported.
And may I please just say that all of that is because you can do that for yourself, and that is your focus. Like, you're there for you, you're vulnerably there for you, you're always like and you hold yourself, and you hold the space for yourself, you have the compassion for yourself. That's why.
And it's reflected back. It's reflected
Right.
back. And, you know, and there are times when he, and that's one of the things that I find so appealing, attractive, and I love so much about him, is that he himself chooses to be emotionally vulnerable as well. And we don't pretend to be like, oh, I got it all figured out, or da, 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 da. No, this is what's always coming up for me. And you know, now he's adopted language, like the story I'm running is, and that is so fun to be able to do that. And you know what I mean? Like, to be connected at that level. And we've had several challenges, and actually it's the challenges as they've come, and we can both say, like, this is what's happening, and we've actually become closer as a result of the challenges. And we just we both know that we're learning. We're constantly learning and evolving in this life, because we want to live our best lives. And I think what's coming up for me right now is, I remember when we were in Sri Lanka, and you asked me, what is it that you want to feel when you know with your person? And it's home. It's that feeling of home. I've never felt so, when I say safe, it's not an external safety, but an internal safety. It's such a warm feeling. It's a warm feeling. It minimizes it. It's such a place of knowing. It's such a place of it's just, I don't know how to explain. There's never been a piece with me that brings up anxiety and security. Oh my God, what is this? What is that? It's always just like, wow, wow. It's an evolution together. In a container, in a place, in a relationship where we know it's home. I
hear you. I totally hear you. And it's hard to even put words to it, because it's such a powerful feeling.
But the answer is always, when things are like not working, whether it's homework, whatever, the work is always in here. That's what I've learned, you know. And I notice when I'm off kilter, it's because I'm not doing my practices. I'm not journaling, or I'm not, you know, doing a level of self-care that is like, what is it that I need, you know? And do I need to have a hard conversation? Do I need space? Do I need, you know, do I need to ask something? Am I, you know, that kind of thing. So it's being tapped into desire, to express that desire, but it's actually having someone who's so receptive to that. And equally is in the process together too. If that makes sense.
So much sense. Thank you so much for sharing it. Yeah, it's beautiful. Really, really beautiful.
Yeah, and it's just amazing listening to Charlie, Sonia, and Kate just talk, because I haven't been doing the work that as much as I should have been over the last couple of months, and just listening to everybody and listening to everyone's journey just resonates, because I just completely pick up on everything everyone's saying, and it brings it all back. So why did I pick up the phone to Katie? Turning the clock back, I don't know, 7.5 years ago, quite a while. I just found myself in a real rut. I've been living in Asia for 5 years, and I had quite a few relationships, but they'd all failed. I was burnt out. I was working 20 hours a day, and I was living in hotel rooms mostly. And I had a bit. I won't go into the details of what happened on this particular day, but I had a particular low moment, and I had been living in a hotel room in Tokyo for about 2 weeks. I was lonely, burnt out, working way too hard. I was sitting in my hotel room, and I had really hit a low point, and I thought, the choices I've made, the things I've done have put me here. It wasn't somebody else putting me here. It's because of the actions I've taken. And this isn't the path I want, and this isn't the life I want to be leading. I'm lonely, I want a family, I want somebody to share life with and do life with. And how have I ended up here, and my sister told me two very important things when I phoned her in a really miserable way. Watch Nashville, which I did for 7 hours that day, sitting in that hotel room, and she said, look, here's the number of Katie. I think you need to call her. And at the time I was like, I don't need a life coach, but I knew I was in trouble. I knew emotionally I was in trouble, and I didn't know where to go. And so I picked up the phone to Katie, and it was the best thing I ever did. And I think on our first meeting, the way I described how I felt was I was emotional. I didn't know how to feel. I certainly didn't know, how to feel in a relationship. And I think looking back on it, was very much in my masculine. And I felt like I was dysfunctional in that, why is everyone else having relationships and not me? And I knew inside there was nothing actually wrong with me. So I couldn't make sense of the fact it wasn't working. And so that was the journey that Katie helped me with enormously, around vulnerability, finding my feminine, all of these things. And the irony, the guy was not the focus. I didn't even feel I could dream of having a family or of my own or anything like that. That just seemed unattainable at the time. But I remember when Ian rocked up, I was actually a little bit annoyed, and from the fear, which sounds ridiculous, but I was on this journey with Katie, and I had quit my job, which was a huge thing. I had 3 months off. It was all about me. I just wanted to focus on building me. And then this guy popped up, and I was like, no, I'm not ready. Go away, come back in 3 months' time when I've had me time, and I'll be all like, I'll be ready for you. Anyway, life doesn't work like that. And we are where we are today. But I don't, the relationship, we've been together 6 years, and we've had, I would say, we've had everything chucked at us from external factors, but it's the tools that Katie has given me that, saw me through the rough times, and I couldn't be more thankful for that. And then just lastly, what made me slightly laugh, was I picked up my journal to write my New Year's resolutions this year, and out dropped what I wrote in 2015, when I did the course, and I was very studious, doing all the exercises and everything, and I wrote out my dream, which at the time was seemed unattainable, and I haven't climbed whatever it was, Mount Kilimanjaro, which I think I wrote on the list, and I don't swim on the beach every morning, but the rest of it, a soulmate that I can plan stuff with, someone I can just cook a roast chicken with and have a glass of wine with in the evening, someone that I can build a future with, was all on it. And it seemed like another world when I wrote it. And so it felt quite emotional to realize that I'd come that far. So that was that. Has not been plain sailing, but we're here.
But that's life, right? And that's the human experience. And we have to learn how to navigate that. And like you said, you've got those tools. You need to come into my Love Lounge membership if you want to stay tapped in and not suffer the transformational amnesia. It's really good. Just doing a sales pitch to you now, live. And where are you at now? You've got a little boy.
We've got a little boy, little 4-year-old, and really everything's just really lovely. Obviously, we've just going into another lockdown, so it's just a really lovely, happy family, secure, unit. It's not crazy or anything like that. There's no drama. It's just cooking a roast chicken and sitting on the sofa watching a box set, and that's all I want. So it's great. It's great. I'm very happy. Yeah.
I'm really with you on that. Like James and I, it's so funny. We sort of look at each other like, what should we do? We're like, should we start the new season of Ozark? And we get so excited, like, yeah, let's go on the couch. It's boring, but it's not boring. It's our absolute happy place. Not boring in the slightest. Oh, good, gorgeous. Thank you so much for sharing. So I know a big thing that stops a lot of people from coming on and continuing with the inner work after the 5-day challenge. So actually the 5-day challenge didn't exist, did it? When I was working with you, Charlie, and with you, Gilly, yeah. And actually the beginning with Sonia, it didn't exist. But you know, you're doing a free 5-day challenge, just getting to know me, just getting to trust me, desiring to dive deeper because there's only so much we can do in 5 days. But then a big thing that's going to be blocking people is, what's the number one thing? Money. Yeah, Kate just mimed it. Money. It is. I get it. I totally get it. When I'm looking at any coaching program, the first thing I scroll to, I'm listening, I'm going, yeah, that sounds really good. Scroll. How much is it? You know, we all do it, right? Who would like to share about the investment?
So for me, I knew I really wanted to do it, but it was a stretch financially. And it was the first time that I had properly invested in myself, and sort of stretched myself to do it. Yeah. So it was very new, the whole, this is, you know, to me, a large sum of money, investing in this thing I've never done before. And I know I'm really keen, but it was scary. It is scary. It is scary when you invest a big chunk of money in yourself, something that you're not normally used to doing. It's different. You know, we book holidays all the time and don't necessarily think about how much the flights cost, or the fact that it's 800 quid or more to hire a villa for a week or whatever. Yeah. And like, since working with you, I've actually, because, you know, I'm just setting up my own coaching business. And since working with you, I have invested in other coaches, more to do with like business coaches. But I really value spending that money on myself, because I 100% see and feel the transformation within myself and the value that it brings me, and the fact that I can go back to those tools and go back to those learnings whenever I want to, again, over time. And I feel like it's worth it. It is. If you're worrying about whether it's going to be worth it, then let this be a kind of your sign that the investment in yourself is just so worth it. And the tools that you'll learn are things that you can keep with you forever. And you know, it was scary, and I understand that fear, but for me, I was so glad that I did it. I was so glad that I made myself important enough to spend that money on. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing that. I completely, am I remembering right? And I'm sorry if I'm getting this wrong, but am I remembering you had a little bit of a money miracle when you signed up? Wasn't the way the money came in?
I ended up, what did I do? I ended up selling some jewelry, I think, that I found. This is what I did. So
yes,
because you had like given me some ideas, and then I had a ping come in, because an ex that I had dated, who was really not good for me, I think it was probably the reason why I ended up coaching with you, because I dated this older guy, and it just wasn't good for me. And he tried to get me back by buying me a really expensive diamond necklace. It was like $2,000 or something like that. And I probably should have refused it, but I didn't.
Thank you, universe. More, please. Thank you.
I was very young at the time. I think I was like 23 or 24, whatever. And I was like, oh, thank you so much. And anyway, years later, I was like, I should sell that necklace. I don't need it. It's nothing to me. Like it's just I didn't love this guy. He used it as a way to try and buy my affection. And I ended up selling that necklace, and I used that money to pay for our time together.
Yeah, that's it. I remember that because and you'd forgotten you even had it. And I remember you really wanted to do the program. You're like, well, where's the money going to come from? And I was like, just allow yourself to be open to receive where it will come from. You don't have to know the source, but it will come. If this is meant to be, it will come, type thing. And but you committed first. That was the main thing. So you committed, you paid the deposit.
Yes.
You said to the universe, I'm all in. And then you were available to receive. And then you were like, oh my God, I've got that necklace. I'll never forget you texting me going, I've just sold the necklace.
Yeah. It was cool. And it was like an energetic thing. Like, obviously jewelry's lovely, but it was a representation of something that wasn't particularly healthy and someone trying to buy my affection. And I was like, I don't need this. I don't need this piece of jewelry. It's just a material thing that doesn't come from a place of true love. Like, I don't need it. Yeah. And it served me in other much better ways.
Amazing. And I'm so excited that you've gone on to coach qualifications and you're now coaching. And yeah, it's really cool. Really, really amazing. Sharing the love. Sonia, you look like you wanted to say something.
No, I was going to say, like, the very first time when I worked with you, I was I was coming out of a financial difficulty, but a big piece of what was happening for me was worthiness. I was always, that was an underlying issue for me. And so I trusted myself enough that it's like, it will work out. And I think it was a huge message that I'm worth it. I'm worth it. And just like if you were to have a bad back and you wanted to go to a chiropractor, I mean, you would take care of those things. So I didn't see it. Yes, it's a substantial amount, but I'm beyond worth it. And making that commitment to myself then translates into other aspects of your life. And then money has never been an issue since. And I'm very clear about what I say yes to, right? It's a value system kind of thing. And I value me. And I think that was an important piece of this whole journey, is that, because I tend to, I'm a recovering codependent. It's about everybody else's needs first. But I know now that if I don't take care of myself and prioritize myself, everybody else suffers in that process. Yeah. So I now don't even think twice. If it's something that in my gut that I feel that I need, I don't think twice. It's about yes. And I know it all works itself out. It really does.
What just came to me then as you were speaking, which I've never thought about before, actually, but it's a big investment from you. It's investment in time and energy and money, right? There's no denying it. It's a powerful program and process. But it's a big investment from you. And if we consider everything energetically is reflected back to us, what's my investment in this? So if I'm the coach, if I'm hosting and holding this space, could you share even with me, like, how did I invest in it? Like, what did you get from me? Like, what was my investment? Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Over and beyond. I think I'm reflecting on, say, group calls and how you are, so when each person talks, you're completely present with them. You're completely in their process. You don't. And by the same token, you're able to, I'm going to use the word steer, like if things are going like that, you're able to bring it back to what the kernel is and really guide somebody in a very gentle yet firm way to get to what is really coming up for them. And I think so. If some people have an issue with a group, like, oh, I want more individual, there's actually a lot of beauty in a group because, yeah, you come with your own thing, but you learn by sometimes other people's experiences, like, oh, I never saw it that way, or this reminds me of, and then that helps me to process something differently. Mm-hmm. So I think there's and I think you are a masterful group leader, and I think you always have the most intriguing, thought-provoking questions. So even if, like you say, you were coaching with Kate at that time, that question may not be applicable to me, but there's something in that is like, oh my God, you always get what you need. Mm-hmm. You always get what you need on at least that was my experience on every group call.
And this isn't therapy, this is coaching. So it's asking the most incredible questions that make us go away and work really hard to try and, for ourselves, just work out.
I think the 2 points I would say is, at the time, I was in such a rut. I didn't care what it was going to cost. Anyone that could throw me a lifeline and improve my situation. So I wasn't fixated on the figure. Looking back now, we haven't had a coaching call since I was pregnant, so 4 years ago, and I would say I regularly, at least once a month, if not twice a month, 3 times a month, if I'm feeling a bit off kilter or I'm not feeling right, I will go to your podcast. I will go back to the basics. I will listen to, even your voice just brings me back to what I'm doing. And you can't put a price on that. So that's 4 years where if I'm feeling like I'm, off, you've brought me back to, back online, or just given me the support I needed, or I'm doing something at work and I'm nervous. I listen to your voice. I listen to some of the things you've taught me. I've picked up the tools again. And, the investment is nothing when you look back and you think how much you rely on it. So it's not the course, it's a lifetime of tools, is what I would say.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Yeah, thank you, Gilly. Okay.
Also, I think we all come to this, or have come to this, with issues that we want to work through, but that's almost only half of it, because it's all of the other doors that you fling open, like career and money and life and sport and God, what do you want? What do you actually want? Yes, all of these things we know are issues, and let's work through it. And why are they issues? And all that drilling down. But it's all the other stuff that opens up because of it. So how can you put a figure on that? It's living your life at your best and your most powerful.
Just quickly on the time factor and the juggle of life. I mean, Gilly, when we were working together, you didn't have a baby. Now you do. I know, Sonia, you've got older children, like high school age, and then now they're going into university. And Kate, you've got high school age children, and jobs and life and elderly parents and husband in care, Kate, and so how do you fit this in? Because as you alluded to before, it is a commitment in terms of the work. You get what you get out of it, what you put into it. So how do you juggle that?
I was partly furloughed at the time, so that was brilliant. It was perfect timing for me. But yeah, busy household, busy life. I found some subjects I really wanted to work hard on, certain questions and certain chapters. I can't remember what we call them, but modules. Really ringing high. And I just I'd write that out in my diary, actually, a bit like A time, so I'd go, I'm doing 2 hours this morning on Monday, I'm doing 2 hours on Wednesday, and I'm doing 2 hours on Friday. I might not do the 2 hours, I might not need to, or I might need to do more or whatever. And then other ones were lighter, like the dating apps. That was hilarious, with James. Still go back to that one. Actually, that was the one I was like, I don't see. That was the attitude I had. I'm not going to go online today. It's never going to happen. That's the one I'm really not. Oh my God, I've actually contacted him privately. So yeah, you do make the time, but it's an investment. There is a lot of work to do. But also you do. I don't know if I'm allowed to say, you do put some buffers in. There are a couple of weeks where you go, actually just chill for a bit. You've got some time. So it'll all work.
Catch up weeks.
Catch up
time. Yeah, I mean, because hey, we're all about bringing in the feminine here, so it's not about it being this hard slog. I'm not going to whip on you. It's a container of time, and we trust that you'll receive what you receive. And even if you don't do all of the module work perfectly, it doesn't mean you're not going to receive what you're meant to receive. Yeah.
For me, my schedule is insane. You fit it in. I fit it in when I can, and I prioritize it. We have the Sunday reflection, so I kind of adopted the Sunday morning before the kids are up or whatever. I kind of make coffee, and I just, take out an hour or two to just make it that time to look and reflect on that, or before I go to bed. And as you know, like when we were on, I travel, I do that wherever I am, I just squeeze it in. How many times I've been at work and
yeah, she's at work with a like Mark, because Sonia's a doctor, so
times I'm like, oh, hey, hold on. You should come in.
She's like got a patient now. She's like, hold on, I'm on a Zoom call. No, it's not quite like that, but there was a question. Oh, so there was a question about the scrapbooking somebody mentioned. So that's the Love Alchemy scrapbook. So Gilly, you never got to do the Love Alchemy scrapbook, but you did your journaling and your vision boarding. And actually, I remember you. Oh, maybe did I get you to do? Hold on, you might have been a test dummy before I introduced the Love Alchemy scrapbook into them. Did you do something like that?
I did vision boarding. We did vision boards. I don't think we did a scrapbook.
No. Okay. So who wants to? So Sonia, you were talking about that before. Do you want to share about what is it?
The very first time that I did it, I used to work a week away from home. So I had my own place. And so that was really, maybe that's when I dove into it much more. So at night I would come in and all the different exercises, and I'm very visual. And I love like that whole vision boarding and the different questions and exercises that you do. I would translate it into that. And it was so powerful. I both would write in it and cut stuff out, and everything, all the intentions that I put in there, everything came to I manifested everything that in there. And sometimes I'll look back, and it made a lot of things ritualistic. So if something to represent something, if I went on a walk, I grab a leaf, whatever. If I went somewhere, I put it in there. It was a great place to capture this journey. And I look back at it fondly, and I manifested everything that's in there.
Yeah.
And when I did the second time, I just picked it up. I didn't go as intensely as I did the first time, but it was a different focus. So.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no. So this scrapbook it's an invitation. You don't have to do it, but it's just bringing because we're all about the feminine. So it's about bringing in some creativity and just creating a space where when you're doing the module work, some of which is quite head work, and then you're dropping it down into your body and you're feeling it. It's a space to be creative and express your feelings and transformation. And it might be a bit of vision boarding in the scrapbook. There might be you might have space where you're writing your man menu, for example, because that's one of the little things, the fun aspects of what we do. But you might keep adding to it, or there'll be a space for your limiting beliefs and your new affirmations, and you can keep adding to it. So it's not like you're restricted. You just keep adding to this. It's an alchemy there. Oh, there we go. There's Sonia's. Oh, gorgeous. I love that you've still got it.
Oh, I do. I treasure this. This was such a journey of.
Oh, gorgeous.
And I would write in it too. Like a lot of times
exactly
on the modules, and it's something I really treasure,
I struggled with the scrapbook idea. I felt like I needed lots of partly a bit locked down, not going out that much. I didn't have any materials to work with, so I bought myself a lovely not leather, I wish it was leather, but a lovely zip up like case, and I put things in it, which really helped. And I also did a Pinterest board, which I loved doing. So that was the way I found my creative visions to inspire me.
We're just bringing a little bit of fun and creativity into the process, so it's not all hard work, bring in a bit of magic in. We love a bit of magic.
And I really hope that the chat's helped people that are watching it kind of work through, if they're interested in kind of getting involved. Like 100%, I would recommend it. And
I just looked up, and on my desk, and it's been sitting here for a year, is what you bought for me 5 years ago. Live the life you want to lead, and it sits here, and I probably haven't opened it for a year. I'm going to be honest, but it gives me daily reminders that you only have one life and you've got to make the most of it. And everything you've taught me has helped do this. So, you know, I can't thank Katie enough for me and members of my family as well, for, you know, for guiding us through it all and giving us the tools to live our best life.
Thank you.
That actually brought tears to my eyes. That's beautiful.
Really beautiful.
As you go forward in life, this is just one period, one small period of life, and there will always be things thrown your way, and you only have one life, and you do only have one life. And it's so important to make it happy. Just find your happy, and that will carry you through. And all of the tools, or a number of the tools that I learned through Katie, are supporting me now and will always support me. And it's a bit scientific, really, in a way. This isn't woo woo. This is actually getting to know yourself and actually find yourself and have the best future that you possibly can. And you empower yourself, and power, you know, knowledge is power. If you don't understand it, you go and find out, and this is the way to find out.
I think Katie, I've coached before with other people. I think Katie brings an incredible level of integrity that you don't see commonly. She also brings her genuine self in such a loving, compassionate way. She genuinely cares about each and every person that she works with. I think she's an incredible culmination of both, you know, the masculine and the feminine, where she brings you something that's very structured, organized, powerful, you know, content that is meaningful, and yet also cushions it with intuition and compassion and love and support I think it's unparalleled. And that's why I continue to work with her. I see others, and what she gives, nobody else will give to you. I mean, in my experience, I mean, think of all the tools between. I'm also a member of the Love Lounge. Between the Love Lounge, the Self-Love Hub, the content, all the stuff that she puts on YouTube, the programs that she creates, she's the absolute real deal. And exactly what the girls, I echo that. It's like, this is your one and only life. How do you want to play it? And not only do you get tools, but you also get a very safe space where she helps guide you to get what's unique for you to live your best life. You're daring and mighty in life.
I might have a little cry when we're not live.
It's true.
Thank you. Thank you so much for saying that. I really appreciate it, because it is my heart's work. Like this, it's not just a job for me. Yeah. I put everything into it.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
And very few people, and I don't care what the industry is, do that anymore. So, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Thank you, and I appreciate you. And would you all say, just to keep it real, how often do I cry, like in coaching session? It's a thing, right? Like I cry. Yeah. Oh, beautiful. Thank you, guys. My heart is so burst open. I don't even. Yeah, it's beautiful. I am burst open, and I will go and put my feet in the ocean in a minute and just receive everything you've said fully. I'm going to really give myself some space to receive what you've said, because doing the work I do, it's actually really important that I receive that to continue to expand and go on to do more of what I do. And what I do has expanded. Actually, Sonia, you're the best person probably to know, because we've known each other for so long, how my work has continued to expand and evolve over time, and how much more powerful it is becoming, because as it does, doesn't it, with time and experience. But thank you, darlings, for being you, for committing to yourselves the way that you have, for really showing up for yourselves the way you have. It's just, you have no idea how you inspire me. It's seriously, it's just like, I wouldn't do this if I didn't have you. Like, I need the inspiration. So thank you. You're amazing.